What's up, people? I don't know how long I'm gonna have the internet because a tropical storm's coming our way, so not quite sure how things will turn out. So let me. It's now raining. It was real quiet last night, and it's now starting to rain. So I'm popping off my videos as soon as I can. All right, Hybrid 95. Now Hybrid 95 was talking about how um, it's not going to be an easy fight for Canelo because Bernard Hopkins was talking about it, having faced Kovalev. I don't want to talk too much about Kovalev versus Canelo fight, but I just rewatched highlights of Andrew Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. And Hybrid 95, you got a point to a certain degree. Now, with Andrew Ward versus Sergey Kovalev, you got to understand something. Andrew Ward in the first fight didn't know uh, what was the vulnerability of Sergey Kovalev. Let's put it that way. He had to find that out. He had to figure that out. And how the one thing Andrew Ward does in almost every fight, and he stole it from Floyd Mayweather, is he does what's called a jab to the pit. So from round number one, Andrew Ward is looking to get to your body, to slow you down. That's a Mayweather thing. I saw Anthony Yarde do the same thing. The very first punch of the fight was by Anthony Yarde, was a jab to the pit. I thought about Elida Alvarez's win against Sergey Kovalev. And the claim was that Kovalev was winning the fight. And out of the clear blue sky, Elida Alvarez beat him. That same narrative kind of was happening with Ward in both fights. In fact, if you listen to Harold Lederman's scorecard, he had Kovalev up by a big margin in the second fight against Andrew Ward. In other words, the commentary team for HBO in both fights had Sergey Kovalev winning both fights. And one of the things that I noticed a lot of commentators and a lot of these people in boxing ignore is the body work. They only start noticing the body work of a boxer when it's way too late in the fight and the boxer has the other boxer in trouble. But they're not watching round by round all those little steps that the boxer's taking to invest to the body, to close the distance, and they don't score those punches. And in boxing, times past, judges didn't really score body shots. Now, more and more boxers are scoring body shots. Take, for instance, Alfredo Angulo versus Peter Quillin. Everybody look at the headshots. Peter Quillin's chin was up in the air. So, the headshots are really obvious shots. But they didn't watch all the body shots that Alfredo Angulo was landing on Peter Quillin. So body shots is a thing for some reason. A lot of people don't really pay attention to it because, especially early in a fight, the boxer doesn't seem to show visible signs to the audience of what's really going on with investments to the body. Unless, of course, you hit them a picture-perfect punch and they react to it and they go down. But body work is one of the most important things in boxing. And another thing that they didn't really particularly pay attention to, and this is where I think Hybrid 95 has a great point, is Sergey Kovalev actually lands some pretty good body shots. Sergey Kovalev himself is a pretty good body puncher. He really is. And when you look also at his jabbing, he mixes up his jabs from the head to the body. And I paid attention to that particularly because this is where I think you guys have a great point. I think Kovalev can actually use his approach to the body on Canelo to respond to Canelo if Canelo goes to his body. Right? Now, Sergey Kovalev really, early in the fights, Sergey Kovalev is the most effective. I mean, against Anthony Yard, he looked good, but just like how Andre Ward got him out of the 8th round, and this is where Tunde Ajayi got his thing from. Tunde Ajayi used that template from Andre Ward to get, because he realized Kovalev was tiring from the body work, to try to get Kovalev out in the 8th round as well. Elida Alvarez also kind of got him out of there somewhere around that point in time as well. So that's Kovalev's weak spot, which he's going to work on. With Canelo, I can see Kovalev catching Canelo with some jabs and some right hands. I see him, because he's going to be the best Kovalev you've ever seen. I'm going to tell you all now, Kovalev ain't faded. He's vulnerable, but he's not faded. So I do expect Canelo to get hit with some shots by Sergey Kovalev. I expect Canelo to be able to get through those shots and still continue onwards. Mainly because Andrew was not that much bigger than Canelo, weight-wise and size-wise, in terms of weight. Okay, Andrew Ward is a 168-pounder. And I truly believe Canelo, when all is said and done and his career is over, will be a 168-pounder. That's what he will really be. So that's why Canelo can make that super lightweight leap. I think that's about it for Canelo, though. I think he tops out at super lightweight. I don't think he's going to get nothing at cruiser. I don't think he can get anything at heavyweight. I think he gets beat at cruiserweight. I think he gets beat at heavyweight. But I think that's the highest weight limit Canelo can go. And that's pretty impressive because he's only 5'8". He's basically Floyd and Roberto Duran's size and height. He's a little bit bigger than Duran. Duran, remember, is more of a middleweight. Canelo's a little bit bigger than Duran. He began his career at super lightweight, for those of you who don't know. And so Canelo's basically going through 6 divisions. And I don't think he can do more than that. But I would say that Canelo gonna get hit by Sergey Kovalev. You guys are right. He's gonna get hit by Sergey Kovalev. He's gonna have to, when he throws his jab, Kovalev probably would throw his jab as well. And again, Kovalev's really good at angling his body. He's not your typical European fighter. He angles his body really well. I like his footwork as well. The problem with Kovalev is he sits in front of you too much. So if I were to suggest something to Buddy McGirt, I don't know how you're going to add that, but he got to find a way to get Kovalev to pivot off his jabs a little bit more. That little tweak is a big difference, which could give him the victory or give him a chance to beat Canelo. He's standing in front of you too much. And that's where Ward kind of got him. But Ward didn't really pivot that much. Just kind of more went to Kovalev. In fact, Ward started going at Kovalev in straight lines. Because Ward is an inside fighter, but he's not a better inside fighter than Canelo, in my opinion. I think Canelo does it better. Because that's what Canelo does, right? I think Canelo's a pretty good outboxer as well. I didn't notice that until the Triple G fight. He's really good at distance control. He's really, really good at it. He'll make you miss at inches, and he can still outbox your ass. He gonna outbox you just barely. Like he's an outboxer that's like he's something like James Toney in a way and Mike McCallum. He don't really want to be on the outside, so he's just on the outside borderline. He gonna just stay just on the outside of your reach. That's why I have Andy Ruiz beating Anthony Joshua again, because Andy Ruiz do the same thing. He use a feint as if he's gonna come in and he got you reaching for him, and then he comes in. Canelo do that kind of thing. So Canelo don't waste a lot of foot movement, and he don't waste a lot of head movement. He don't waste shit. He don't waste nothing. And that's a problem for Sergey Kovalev. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Canelo he's tricky. He's very tricky, and then his rhythm is a different kind of rhythm. It's gonna take Kovalev a little while to get used to Canelo's rhythm. That's what make Canelo. That's why I give Canelo the edge on this fight. And that's why there's a lot of things that Canelo does in there. Now, against Andre Ward, it's a totally different story. Because Andre Ward, the thing about Andre Ward is he can respond on the inside. Kovalev, once you get within his range, there's not much Kovalev can do. He don't got no power. He don't got no... He have nothing for you. But at range, and as he's coming into range, he can land like combinations to the body and shit. And that's where he's most effective. You see? And so Kovalev got a little something. Like I said, he got a little something. But if you look at the second fight with Andre Ward, when Andre Ward knew what to do to Sergey Kovalev, Andre Ward is not a finisher. Andre Ward is not a guy that stops guys. He really isn't. You know, and he had to go back to what we call his B plan. Andrew was really more of an outboxer. He's not really, his inside game is okay. He don't have an inside game like Canelo, right? He went to his plan B, which was, okay, we're going to work this guy on the inside. That's where we got our success. We're going to work him on the inside. And from round one, he worked him on the inside. Round one, he respected Kovalev's power, so he kept out of range. I thought he was a little bit excessive in his movement on the outside. You know, I don't think Canelo will be that excessive. You know, Canelo wants to be in striking distance. So he's going to be just, you know, boxing's about inches. He's going to be just outside of Kovalev's range. Kovalev will just miss him. You understand? Canelo going to find that range, and he's going to just on the outside of Kovalev. That's how it's going to be. In fact, Kovalev every now and then will touch Canelo. He won't actually touch him. Y'all going to say Kovalev outboxing Canelo. Because he will just touch Canelo. See? That's how Canelo's a tricky motherfucker. I'll try to explain that to you guys, but anyway, it is what it is. So anyway, Hybrid 95, I get where you're coming from because Kovalev also can throw body punches. It's mostly from distance. It's mostly from range. You know, he needs that space to really throw it with his long arms. He don't know how to collapse the long arms like Errol Spence does and rattle off his punches. But I can see that being a factor in this fight. Everything else I kind of factored in. I already thought about how Kovalev has his jab and how he moves and all of that. I kind of factored that in. I think Canelo handles all those things. But that body punching can make a difference. And if Kovalev could just start just a little bit off the jab, just pivot a little bit more. Just kind of move yourself a little bit more. Because he's going to be in front of Canelo. He's not going to make Canelo go find him. You know, he doesn't have that excessive movement around the ring because he don't have that cardio for that. So you're not going to see something like what with Erislandy Lara. You might see more of what Austin Trout did with Canelo. You can get more of that kind of fight. That's what you're going to get. You understand? You're going to get more of a fight. And Canelo liked that kind of style. He liked that you stand in front of him. That's his food. He liked that shit. So if you're standing in front of Canelo, Canelo going to have a field day with you. But if you move, you just slight movements. You got to make these slight adjustments, slight movements. You know, you can get Canelo off the wrong line. You know, you got to be able to set traps for him. You know, Kovalev's a smart guy. I mean, he could do some of that stuff. Of course, Canelo gonna make an adjustment. You know, Danny Jacobs was exceptional in doing that in the later part of the fight where he was catching Canelo with some good shots. Canelo was still riding them, but he was catching him with some good shots to the body and to the head. And that sort of made Canelo go a bit defensive. Canelo wasn't moving too far away from Danny Jacobs. He still wanted to stay striking range and watch him. But he made Canelo move backwards. He made Canelo use lateral movement. He made Canelo get very defensive and block shots to reassess what was going on. You know, and then counterpunch. So, if Kovalev need to have a chance in this fight to not get stopped, those little things, hopefully Buddy McGirt would think about that and have that kind of game plan. Because I'm telling you, man, it's difficult. It's going to be difficult for him. It's going to be an uphill battle, especially where Elita Alvarez, Anthony Yard, and Andrew Ward is not a knockout puncher. They were able to have success to Kovalev's body. All right? And no matter what people say, because they always look at the jab of Kovalev, Kovalev did not outbox. He did not outbox Andre Ward. In fact, I will ask you guys to go back and watch at Amir Khan versus Canelo Alvarez. And then I'm going to ask y'all, did Canelo get outboxed by Amir Khan? Let me see how y'all, if y'all really understand boxing. Because even Amir Khan afterwards said certain things. He admitted certain things about how smart Canelo is. So if you think that, how you view Amir Khan versus Canelo will tell me how you would view Canelo versus Kovalev. Because what I'm telling you guys, I'm just telling you guys, I'm not trying to be like somebody who doesn't know what he's saying. I want Kovalev to at least put up a good fight so that I don't have to say this was a gimme fight. I want him to put on a good fight. So I'm trying to give him some tips. I'm trying to give them some tips. They don't need my tips, but maybe they've already factored this in. But he needs to have this extra little something in his game to keep Canelo at least thinking about, if it's just his power, Canelo going to diffuse that power. All right, he's going to diffuse that power with body work. He's going to take it away from Kovalev. Kovalev's not going to have that same power he had early in the fight. If it's just the jab, Canelo's going to take away that jab. Because as the fight goes along, because Canelo, again, is going to be using that body work. So Kovalev has to come with something to make Canelo think and use more defense, be more defensively minded than offensively minded, to kind of take away that momentum that Canelo can have to stop him. And then turn the fight into his favor so he can win the fight. Most people think if the fight goes the distance, Kovalev will outbox Canelo. There's a perception like that out there. So maybe that's the way how to go so he can get that unanimous decision win by outboxing Canelo. Like what he did with Elita Alvarez, right? The second time. So this is what I can come up with to kind of assist Hybrid 95 in his assessment that this could be a tough fight for Canelo. Because, see, Canelo got all this information about Kovalev from previous fights. And he can look at what Elita Alvarez did not do against Sergey Kovalev. Look at how effective Sergey Kovalev was against Elita Alvarez. And then from there, he could say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. But I'm pretty sure Canelo and his team are very, very aware of what they're taking on, which is why they would jump 2 weight classes to face Sergey Kovalev. I do not believe Canelo and his team would take this fight if they didn't think they could win this fight. And so it's not just what they see, because I think I agree with Canelo now, and I think I agree with some of you guys. I think Canelo thinks that Sergey Kovalev is the best light heavyweight out there for 2 reasons. 1, his resume. And 2, how notoriously difficult, for somebody who doesn't know what to get into, he is in someone trying to beat him in a straight up outboxing competition. So if you're just straight up trying to outbox Kovalev, that is, box him on the outside, very difficult. He will win. And I think that, in and of itself, is the reason why Canelo took that fight. Because he thinks of it as a challenge for him to be able to face this guy and even show everybody he could actually box Kovalev on the outside and outbox him. As well as he wants to show probably his skills on the inside, of course, where he could beat him. And I listened to Canelo very carefully, and he did say, I am a body puncher, that's what I do. And he says if that works against Kovalev, cool. In other words, he's not putting all his emphasis or all of his weight on body punching. He's looking at other things he could do to beat Sergey Kovalev. He's not just counting on body punching to beat him, right? Of course, Andre Ward knew that was the way to go in the second fight, which is why he beat Kovalev. And honestly speaking, I thought Harold Lieberman's scorecard was way biased. It's like, I don't know what happens to these guys, but they get on a high when they see a white dude doing well. All of a sudden, they're just looking at that guy, and they're not watching anything the other opponent is doing. I feel like there's an overcompensation. Let me tell you guys, the guys who are real dudes out here. Vasily Lomachenko's a real dude. You want to be hype on somebody who's white that can box? Lomachenko. Caleb Plant's the real deal. Caleb Plant is a white dude who can box. He's sweet. All right, y'all want white dudes that really can box? Billy Joe Saunders. That's a real one. All right. So, I don't see people really hype about these guys though, and it's sad because even Lomachenko really don't get that credit he deserves out here. Motherfucker, I mean, never lost a fight except for one, and he avenged that. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's kind of sad. As much as I said Lomachenko's a limited fighter, meaning that he fights at mid-range, he do it really well. He gets there. You know what I'm saying? And so, while I tell you guys that I think certain fighters beat him because of what they bring to the table, please don't get it twisted. The hype is real on this dude. Right? The hype is real on Lomachenko. Man's conditioned really well. He physically fit. My dude that I get off on is Bivol. Right? And I have to be careful. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not hyper biased about him. Because he is also a guy who's kind of limited by range. He mostly fight in mid-range. Fight a little bit on the inside. Could outbox a little bit. He got nice skills. I like him. But again, he mostly limited by range, right? Like Usyk and all these other guys. But I like him. All right? That's another guy you guys need to watch out for, Bivol. I want to see how he do because he's not really a light heavyweight. He's growing into it. He's not really a power puncher either. He just uses sweet science, and I just like him. And then of course Battle Jack is another guy that I really respect because he don't really have all that much talent, but he really work at his craft and his skills. And so I really respect that guy, especially after he got knocked out and everybody was bad talking to him, talking shit about him. And then of course, if you white people want to embrace him, Canelo. Cinnamon. He the best boxer in the world. Undeniably. And it's strange how so much people hate on Canelo. I find it very strange. He not black. You know what I'm saying? He not a black fighter. I don't get it, but it is what it is. And to me, he looks like a white person. He can pass for white. You know what I'm saying? I never quite understood it, but it is what it is. I guess the judging or something. I don't know what it is. And then, I was all in on Tyson Fury until he started doing some whack ass shit. But you can't deny his boxing skill. But nonetheless, that's that cherry pick. And just looking at how they work his body and how that guy, because he worked the body, Tyson Fury had to turn Vladimir Klitschko on the dude and put on his weight and all that shit. I'm not saying he didn't fight good on the inside. He did land some really good body shots on the guy. But he had to use his weight and he was getting tagged and he got a busted eye for it and all that shit. I was like, you ain't as good as I thought you was. You know what I mean? And they saying, well, he wasn't up for Ottawa. Man, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear about a fighter not up for a fight. Every fight plays a major key. As Canelo will tell you, as almost any boxer in boxing will tell you, every fight is important. Every fight, you got to put on your best performance because that fight would cause the next fight, you get a better opportunity, you get better pay, all those things. So you cannot afford to take any opponent for granted, and you have to be up for every fucking fight because every fight that you win brings you closer to a big fight. And then when you get that big fight and you win that, you get a bigger fight. And when you get a bigger fight and you win that, you get a bigger fight. So every fucking fight is important in boxing. Even the ones you lose, it's how you lose them. Every fight's important. This is boxing. This is not football, or where you could lose and, your pay is going to be the same because you want a contract or shit. No, 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 no. This is boxing. And the money, you need food. You're doing professional fucking boxing. So every fight is important. People say, well, what is the greatest fight? Well, what was your best fight? There's no such thing. In boxing, the only way you get to where you get to is by winning and putting on exciting fights and competitive fights. You do that, you're going to be in demand. But if you win, your paycheck goes up. It don't go down. It don't go down. You see, if you win. Now, if you're losing, depending on how you lose, you can get more fights, but your paycheck go down. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to understand every fight is important, right? And so with Canelo versus Kovalev, that fight's very important for Kovalev. He got a lot of game. He beats Canelo. He moves up to pound for pound, almost number one, because he got a good resume. 2, he also is now the whole momentum is shift from Canelo to him. He not a cash cow. He not a cash dude. Currently, Kovalev is not in the pound for pound rankings. I don't think he's one of the top pound for pound fighters. I may be wrong. You guys go check that out. He might be in the top 10, actually. He still might be in the top 10. But at the end of the day, to be able to move up that pound for pound rankings is huge. So I expect a motivated Sergey Kovalev. And the fact that he got all the advantages that you need to have to beat a guy like Canelo means he should take that opportunity as an opportunity of a lifetime. As an opportunity. So he's going to be super motivated. Right now, Sergey Kovalev's like, yeah, man, this man's a warrior and all that shit because he got a good pay. He got a good payday. Probably the biggest payday of his life, of his career. Okay? He got a massive payday. And on top of that, you're talking about this dude has the opportunity of a lifetime to get more paydays? You think Sergey Kovalev going to come in that fight not motivated to knock Canelo out and to break him down and to beat him? Oh, hell no. Hell no. So he's going to be coming in there, with Buddy McGregor, and they're going to have a great game plan for Canelo. Great game plan. Canelo knows this. Okay, he's at the pinnacle of the sport. And if he could get, think about this. If Sergey Kovalev could get pound for pound number one fighter on his resume, beat him, oh shit, his whole life has changed. His whole life has changed. Okay? He's going to be looked at in the history books. He's going to be remembered forever. They're not going to study that Canelo was smaller than him. Oh, hell no. All right? How do we know this? Salvador Sanchez. Salvador Sanchez is known throughout history for beating a smaller fighter, Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler became great because smaller guys moved up and he beat them. Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins beat Oscar De La Hoya and Tito Trinidad. That's what made him notoriously great. They smaller guys moving up in weight. So obviously, Sergey Kovalev will be one of those. So this is a fight that Sergey Kovalev is going to be up for like nobody's business. This is not the most important fight of his career, but it is the most important fight of his career because this is the fight he's getting, right? All the other fights before him were most important fights, but now this one is now the most important fight. You get what I'm saying? The fight you got in front of you is the most important fight because the other fights are gone already, right? And the ones in the future we ain't facing those yet. So this is the most important fight of his career, right? And he could get the W on that. Shit. In fact, the bar's so high with Canelo. If Canelo don't knock out Sergey Kovalev, that's a win for Sergey Kovalev. Right? It don't matter how the judges score it. Because people, what people going to say? They go the distance. Even if Canelo wins the fight and they go the distance, what people going to say? Oh, he didn't knock out Sergey Kovalev. He lost that fight. Oh, they was talking about him. Right? So, and everybody's saying Canelo going to win this fight. Most people are saying that. So, if you go the distance, it's not just a moral victory, but it's going to be a victory for Sergey Kovalev. Canelo's a body puncher. That's what he do. If you couldn't get Kovalev out of there, it showed, one, Kovalev's body's good, and two, Kovalev beat him. That's what people are going to say. So, yeah, I could see how Hybrid 95, I can see how you're saying it could be a difficult fight. I think Kovalev need to go to the body as well. You need to go to Canelo's body. Now, Canelo protects his body pretty well, but he can kind of, what he can do is kind of stave off that attack that Canelo wants to go to. It'll be up to Canelo, like Andrew Ward said, to actually go through that fire, take some of that fire, to continue his game plan of going to Kovalev's body. You know, because the body, Kovalev's body there to get hit. It's just what it is. He don't protect it properly. And it's there to get hit. And I mean, it's too much. I mean, you have to learn so much to protect your body. And if he's going to protect his body, Kovalev's a guy, he don't know how to do a couple of things that could really help him. So if he's protecting his body, which means he ain't jabbing, which means his hands are home. You know, and that's a lunch meal for Canelo. You know, Kovalev don't know how to do certain subtle things that are important in boxing. So that's where, you know, it's just certain things he just never learned. If he stayed with John David Jackson was making him into a fighter that had all these nuances and all these little tricks. He didn't stay with John David Jackson. You know, he didn't stay with him. It's what it is. I mean, I don't know if Buddy McGirt will work on that. Well, it's too late now. You can't work on all them things. You could try, but you can't work on all those things. He had such a good, John David Jackson was doing such a good job with him. Such a good job. He evolved so much with John David Jackson. Went and kicked the man away. Is what it is. You know, that slick style Kovalev has now. John David Jackson's a guy that developed that. You know, and even now, Kovalev could have been so much more. I was watching him as he was developing. He could have been so much more. But it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. Stupid attitude and cockiness, and I hope we listen with Buddy McGirt. I mean, Buddy can develop him more and more as a fighter, and you know, get some respect. You know, Buddy's a hell of a trainer. You know, and even if he doesn't win the Canelo fight, he probably will have an opportunity to fight for the championship again. So he'll be like a 3-time world champion, 4-time world champion. You know, it's possible. You know, because Canelo not going to stay at 175. He said it. He's going to go right back down to 160 and continue what he was doing down there when he's done with this fight. So, I mean, let's see it. You know, I'm going to say this, though. If Canelo loses this fight, I'm going to laugh and I'm going to clown him. Because he should have faced it. He should have faced Demetrius Andrade. All right? Which is, to me, is a tougher challenge. Risk versus reward, Kovalev. Okay, fine. I get you. Risk versus reward is Kovalev. Right? But, I mean, if you can't beat Kovalev, you ain't beating Demetrius Andrade. That's what you telling me. He's not going to beat Demetrius Andrade. If Kovalev beat him by pointing his ass especially, he's not going to beat Demetrius Andrade. So we're going to see. We're going to see. And that would be a reason why he ducked, you know, he didn't duck him, but he wasn't too keen to face Demetrius Andrade. You know what I'm saying? Or Jamel Charlo, because Jamel Charlo also got a great jab. Right? So we'll see. We'll see. This Kovalev fight gonna tell me a lot. Right? But I think Hybrid 95, I just want to acknowledge that point that Hybrid 95 made. Because when I was watching the fight with Andrew Ward particularly, I noticed that Kovalev can go to the body. And he's pretty good, but he's pretty decent with body work. You know, Andrew Ward shook it off and just kept on going to Kovalev's body. But I'm just saying, you know. Another thing I wanted to say was that Elita Alvarez. Another reason why Elita Alvarez beat Sergey Kovalev, which hopefully Kovalev is mindful of the first time was that he allowed Elita Alvarez, who's not an infighter, to be able to counter his right hand, particularly not his jab, his right hand. You know, Kovalev got to be careful how he throws the right hand, and because he can get right hand happy. Against Andre Ward, he wasn't right hand happy. He was very selective about that. Against Anthony Yarde, he wasn't right hand happy. In fact, the right hand had very little to do with the fight. So maybe he's learned this already. And I think in the second fight, he wasn't so right hand happy. But one of the things, when he's throwing the right hand, which he throws with a lot of power, he opens himself for that liver shot. Opens himself for that liver shot. So he's got to be very careful how he throws that right hand. Because not with Canelo. Canelo's going to punish him for that. I'm going to tell you that right now. So that's some of the breakdown. I could go into immense detail on why I think Canelo will beat Sergey Kovalev. Because Kovalev got way too many things he got to work on. You know? Defensive wise, he don't do certain things right. He counts on his jab way too much. He counts on how he positions himself and his virtual distance way too much. And so defensively, he's got no answer for certain things, which a guy can do, especially when that guy closes the distance. He got nothing defensively. You know, and that's the same problem Gennady Golovkin had against Canelo. Gennady Golovkin being a lot tougher. He got no answer for certain things that Canelo do. I'm not going to tell you the specifics of that because John David Jackson saw all of this shit. He know why Canelo and they picked Kovalev because there's a bunch of stuff. If I was to really break down what I see, then, you know, but I'm going to just say, and there's no way Kovalev is going to fix that before the fight. It's just not going to happen. Because he's done it for years, and there's a number of different things he does wrong defensively. Right? And John David Jackson was trying to work on each thing bit by bit with Kovalev, and Kovalev, he said, fuck off John David Jackson after he lost to Andre Ward. And John David Jackson wasn't finished with him. You know? Here's what it is, man. You know. Here's what it is. You know. And I'm going to say this. Everybody's banking on Kovalev's power. What happens when that has been neutralized? When his power is neutralized, what does Kovalev have left? If Canelo is not afraid of his power anymore and very dismissive of his power because he's neutralized it, what do you guys have for Kovalev? I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say it over and over again for you guys. Defense is a very important thing in boxing, sports in general, combat sports especially. If you don't have defense, you can be beat. It's not so much about what you could throw and what power you have and how great your jabbing ability and your movement. That don't mean nothing if you can't land the stuff. If you can't hit the target you want to hit, it don't mean nothing. Defense is the most important thing you should learn in any sport. It's not the most flattering. Some people make it flattering because they get out of the way of punches. It's not the most flattering thing. Blocking shots is very important. How you block a shot is very important. And people work on it over and over in the gym, how you actually execute blocking shots. There are different ways to do so. And it depends on the individual. Some people, even though they block a shot here, right? Even though they block a shot here, my hand could still slam into my head and I could still get knocked the fuck out. So sometimes this blocking here is not for me or not for you. Sometimes it's about slipping the shot instead of blocking the shot. Sometimes it's about blocking the shot, but blocking with an extended guard instead of a in tight, close guard. Canelo uses a roving guard, which is a little bit more extended outwards. So his hands don't lash back on his face and he takes off some of the steam off the punches. All right? You got the closed guard, you got the open guard, and so on and so on. So I'm saying all of this to people so they understand how, man, there's a lot to boxing, man. And you don't just learn that in one training session or in one camp. You can't. You know, just the specifics of how to put your hands and how you have to precisely move. And this takes years and years and years and years and years to do. And a lot of experience, which, you know, I keep on talking about it. Canelo got a lot of experience in boxing, especially a lot of pro experience. You can't pay for that. As much as people talk about the amateur experience, which is very important also, Canelo got it without headgear. It's a totally different story. You heard that everybody talk about it. When you're wearing 8 or 10 ounce gloves, in the case of Canelo, they are wearing 10 ounce gloves. When you're wearing 10 ounce gloves, no headgear, it's a totally different story in boxing. You can kill somebody in that ring. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. You know. So yeah, that's what I gotta say. I think Hybrid 95 got some validity to what he's saying, so that's why I decided to make this video before, you know, lights, camera, and action gets buffed out, because it's gonna be intense today. Hopefully not. We're hoping for the best, but we're on standby. So yeah, man. While everything's running and pumping, I decided to talk about this. It's a good point. I mean, you know, he says Bernard Hopkins said it, and I think what Bernard Hopkins and even Andre Ward was saying, that he might have to go through fire for it. You know, I don't think, if you know what you're doing, I don't think you will be going through fire as much as they are saying. I think with Hopkins, he tried to get to the inside, but he didn't really know how to. He didn't do certain things to get to the inside. See, there's many different ways to get to the inside. You know. And he tried. Let's put it that way. Andrew Ward kind of went down on straight lines. He would go to the inside via straight lines. A little ducking and dipping and that kind of thing. So he found it also a little bit more difficult. You know. I think Anthony Yard did a better job again to the inside than Andre Ward did. Because Anthony Yard used a lot of excessive movement. He was bobbing and weaving, dipping and slipping and sliding, but he was doing it a little too much. So he burned himself out as well. And he was exerting a lot of energy in the 8th round to try and get the stoppage. Because, you know, Tunde Ajayi said, don't let him come out of this round. And, you know, he said, empty the tank on this motherfucker. We want to get him out of there. You know. But, you know, all these guys I'm talking about, they got inside fighting in their game, but that's not their thing. You know, they're not very efficient at it. Canelo's very efficient at doing that. And think about what I'm saying when I say that a guy who knows how to get to the inside many different ways, you're going to get there. So that's why I had to say what I had to say. Hey, if you guys like this video, man, those of you watching, don't forget you can smash that like button. I know it's early in the morning. It's very early in the morning when I did this video. You can smash that. Thank you very much. Yeah, smash that like button. But yeah, I could see the difficulties that people are talking about with Kovalev. Even though honestly, I still don't see it as a factor, but nonetheless, I can see what people are talking about, the potential for the difficulty in the fight. And as much as I trash the fight and call it a shit fight and all of these things, I can see why Shout out to you, Tommy Temper, man. We need to talk, like you said. I can see why, though, the fight is going to be an interesting, intriguing one for some people. Because they're saying, what if Kovalev does this or that? Because there's always these what if moments, and Canelo's not prepared for that. So I think that's where you guys are coming from. Basically, kind of what if scenario. What if Canelo's not prepared for Kovalev going to the body? What if Canelo's not prepared for, as he's going to the inside, Kovalev actually maintaining distance? So when Canelo tries to shuffle to the inside, Kovalev shuffles back, or he shuffles on a pivot or something like that. I can see how that makes sense. Especially early in the fight, Kovalev has quick feet. So if Canelo tries to shuffle in, he shuffle out. If Canelo try to, use head movement and come into the inside. But I don't think, I'm trying to explain to you guys how crafty and how tricky Canelo is. Canelo don't really make no sudden movements, and he don't just suddenly try to come at you. He just kind of slowly plodding, inching in. You're not paying attention. He's inching in on you, and he's doing little head movement things, and he throw a little jab every now and then. And he just look like he just, look kind of nonchalant how he's moving, and he kind of, will do as if he's sliding in, but he's not really sliding in. He's really on the same spot, but you're not really aware of that. So there's a lot of subtlety to what he's doing, and it's hard for me to break down Canelo right now, because for you guys, anyway, whatever. So so I'm actually trying to help Kovalev by talking this stuff. I'm trying to help him. That's why I'm saying all of this stuff. Trying to expose Canelo a little bit for Kovalev to Buddy McGirt and Kovalev and these guys to think about what they're actually dealing with. Because just like how people are underestimating Andy Ruiz, they're underestimating Canelo. You understand? You guys are actually underestimating Canelo. Y'all don't really understand what Canelo can do. So I'm trying to get you guys to kind of open your mind why I said what I said. It's not that I'm just talking off my ass, Andy Ruiz does some of those little tricks that I just talked about. I showed you guys how you can jab to the pit without actually, you moved, but you didn't really move. You stayed on the same spot. And then you can do what we call a lateral jab to the pit, which is, it looked like you stepped in, but what you really did was pivot. You didn't move in. You pivoted. You moved to the side. There's all these little tricks of the trade. And you got to really pay attention to what Canelo be doing in there. So a lot of times guys try to counter Canelo, and the motherfucker is so stupid, they step in. Counterpunched. So now you feint as if he's going to come in the inside, and he sidestep your ass to counter you. There's all these little tricks Canelo does. He does a lot of little tricks. He's like a veteran. He's very crafty. He's very skillful. He's very tricky in there. That's how he sets the trap like perfect. So it's not like I said before, it's not one of them guys you really want to fuck around with. And Kovalev knows Canelo's dangerous. He knows that, and he said it. So I'm just telling y'all there's many things. There's just many things, because these guys work on boxing since they was young. Right now, he working on something else. I looked at what he was working on with Eddie Reynoso. It showed us a little snippet of it. That motherfucker, boy. He be working on that counterpunch like a motherfucker. So he's working on a little counterpunch, and then he's going to counterpunch with a combination. And it's a unique combination he's working on. I don't know if he'll use it in the fight or not. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. It's like this guy is on a whole other level of what they're doing right now. The Reynosos, they're working on a whole other level of stuff. And Sheppo used to train him. Eddie took it over. It's like, if you say the Reynosos, it's kind of like the Ryan Garcia. It's like the Garcia gym. Robert Garcia and they. You got to respect their gym, because what they can bring to the table. Mikey lost to Errol. You got to respect that gym. Kovalev and Canelo, you got to respect the Reynoso's gym. You know what I'm saying? The difference between Canelo and Mikey. Mikey was a smaller fighter who thought he was a better boxer than Errol. You know, and Canelo don't mean talking about how he a better boxer than Kovalev. He's not saying that. He's just saying I'm the best. I think I'm the best. But he's not really saying that. And you can see that he's really factoring in all the little subtle things that Kovalev be doing. And he does a lot of subtle things as a slick boxer. Because he's somewhat slick. He's not slick, but he's somewhat slick. You know? So that's all I gotta say about this. Still think Canelo's gonna stop Kovalev. But I really truly believe we're going to see a motivated, very motivated Kovalev out there. He's going to do a hell of a job. Y'all going to praise him after the fight, even though he gets stopped. You're going to say he did a great job on Canelo. Y'all might even go as far as to say he outboxed Canelo before Canelo got him, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's going to get stopped. That's my true honest opinion. You know, if Andre Ward could stop him, Canelo gonna stop him. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The blueprint's out there. Kovalev, the core of Kovalev is a guy that, one, he don't protect the body properly, and that in and of itself is a long story. And two, he get hit to the body, and he starts to show that he's got hurt. He don't have a poker face. He gonna show you that he got hurt. And I don't care how much people talk about how hard Anthony Yard hits and how big he is. You know, I guess you all have to say how hard Elito Alvarez hits and how big he is. Andrew Ward is nowhere near the size of Anthony Yard or Elito Alvarez. And more than likely doesn't hit as hard as them. Right? And he stopped Kovalev. Right? He stopped him. So, if Andrew Yard can stop Kovalev, you are damn sure Canelo can stop Kovalev. He got what it takes to stop him. And Kovalev knows this. That's why he's going to try and make sure that Canelo doesn't get that opportunity to stop him. And honestly, if he can not get stopped, then the fight can go the distance, you know. And who knows? Maybe he stops Canelo. I mean, maybe. Or maybe he outboxes Canelo. You know, y'all gonna say he outjab Canelo? Maybe. You know, I thought about this fight way too much. I'm overthinking this fight. You know what I mean? This fight is not one of them fights you got to think that hard about. Given Canelo's background, I mean, this is food on the table for Canelo. You know, barring a huge mistake or some great natural disaster that Canelo has suffered, and only going one way. I mean, he's gonna stop Kovalev. Then he's gonna go back down to 160, and hopefully he will face one of them worthy champions like Andrade or Billy Joe Saunders. In the meantime, Demetrius Andrade, man, fight somebody. You know, fight a Billy Joe Saunders. You got these fights in front of you. Canelo's busy with Kovalev, so we're not gonna have that. You're not gonna face him. So that means you need to face somebody with a name. Whether it's Saunders, which you should have had that fight anyway. Might as well make that fight with him. He's now with DAZN and with Matchroom. Have that fight with Saunders. Jamal Charlo got anybody? If he ain't got nobody, have that fight with Jamal Charlo. You know, Triple G's busy with Derevyanchenko, so you ain't gonna get no Triple G. So face somebody who's a name in boxing. Put that on your roster. See if you can get the W. Because I ain't saying you won't beat Billy Joe Saunders, but then from your record and how you beat most people in the amateurs, I got you. I favor you to beat him. I don't know if you will beat him. But y'all southpaws. Let's say you beat Billy Joe Saunders. Now you got a name. You got a guy who is a world champion, a two-time world champion. You would have a two-time world champion on your resume. You ain't got nobody like that right now. You know, you don't. Charlo got somebody. He got J-Rock, who's currently the unified champion, on his resume. You don't got nobody like that. So beef up your resume in the meantime. Make yourself more attractive towards Canelo. All right. If you had stopped, I believe if you had stopped Solanke, you'd have get the Canelo fight. You had to be more convincing, in my opinion. You didn't stop him. So this is what it is. Thank you so very much for smashing the like button, guys. Thank you for listening to this video. I don't know how many more videos I can make. There's a bunch of other things I want to talk about, which would be Peter Quillen versus Alfredo Angulo, and a couple other fights that happened on PBC. So we'll talk about it. Thank you for smashing the like button again. I got people smashing the like button. I don't know who they are, but thank you for coming through. I'm out of here. We're gonna talk boxing. All I do is talk boxing. You notice that? So shout out to each and every one of you guys. I'm out. Peace.